Hello everybody, welcome to a new round of Banter Blitz. I'm Jan Gustafsson. I'm back in the studio just for a day or two, to be honest with you, but I could not resist the temptation to crush you all while I'm hanging out here. So what's been happening? The Olympiad is over. All of us have spent the last couple hours to try to figure out who won. Turns out the United States of America won. Congratulations to them. Ukraine, also fantastic event, 20-2 match points. Normally that should be sufficient to win the gold, but not this time around, because the USA had an even better event. Well, China won the women's event. And yeah, this tiebreak system is a little confusing, as has been pointed out by everybody on Twitter. So let's keep things a little simpler in this show. Let's play a game, and whoever wins gets bragging rights. That's all there is, really. Oh, I gotta abort my test game against Kevin here before I can do that. We shall do that. It's another one of these days where I feel oddly sleepy for no particular reason. What other disclaimers could I possibly issue? I don't know. Should I play someone? I should play someone. You know the rules. Challenge me to a game of 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and I will click randomly on names on my list, and then we shall play. I know I am making it sound exciting. It's not as fun as this intro might have made you believe. Still, let's get going. Can't decide. I'm scrolling through this list. Already don't know what to do. What about this guy? Gruk? Is that your name? Is that related to this Guardians of the Galaxy character where you say I am Groot? Probably not, right? What's up with this mouse? I've done a lot of whining about the mice in the studio in the past. Of course, I haven't done anything about it. I'm more of the type of guy who likes to complain about things, but not really fix things. I'm more of a whiner than a doer, which gets you far in life, that much I can tell you. And let's check in with the chat, if people can see me and hear me and all that good stuff. Knight c3, bishop b4 is on the board, the so-called Nimzowindian, pinning my poor horsey, which of course is very, very unfortunate. But e3, one of the main lines here, the so-called Rubinstein, he plays b6. Many a move is possible here. But to my mind, knight e2 has always been the most consistent of those. Because one idea of e3 is that you go cover this knight with the other knight to avoid having double pawns. c5, a3, bishop to a5. This is a theoretical line that I have to admit I have not looked at for a long, long time. I had some games here, I believe in the 90s, showing my age. Even some tournament games where I think I was doing okay, but I can't remember if I settled on bishop d2 or rook b1 as the main move. Looks like Gruk knows what he's doing here, or Gruk, I'm not sure. Me, not really. Knight g3, is that a legal move? This mouse is really asking for it. Another mouse lying here. Is that better? Maybe. Is it allowed to switch mouses in the course of a game? I guess it's okay, right? Not sure if what I'm doing here is the way this position is to be played. I've seen a recent game, Tomaszewski versus Caruana, where Tomaszewski did get a good position, but I can't quite recall how they got there. d5 strikes me as very early. I would have castled first just to avoid running into any checks on b5, but it's possible that Gruk evaluated, and maybe not wrongly so, that putting the king on e7 is not such a big deal here, or on f8, because I have to play some slightly passive moves and lose some time here as well, starting with bishop d2. Bishop takes c3, b takes c, and I don't know. And no, guys, I'm not gonna play Svidler. I know you guys want blood, but this is back-to-back shows to get you guys a chance to play a Grandmaster, be it a very strong Grandmaster like Peter Svidler, or a very whiny Grandmaster like yourself. But it's not gonna happen, so stop whining already. I do the whining around here. Now I do have a reasonably winning-ish position, which I believe is the correct term. King f8, bishop d3. I just have two bishops with more central control and a black king on f8. So things are looking pretty good. However, after c4, which looked like a good move, the d4 pawn is a little soft all of a sudden, so I'm not so sure anymore if c4 was such a bright idea on my part. f6 plate. He's probably trying to clear some space for the king to go to f7. I guess I might as well castle at some point. Sooner or later. No. What can we do? Maybe I should take here and then go knight e4, trying to shuffle my knight around to c5. Which would have the added benefit of picking up another pawn. Another pawn, I'm not making any sense. I'm not a pawn up. Picking up one pawn. Very hard to defend though, as far as I can tell. Could go knight f5, but then just queen e2, and this dude is still hanging. Rook b8, now I can just take it. And yeah, not that much has changed over the last couple of weeks. I still enjoy grabbing the pawns. Knight a6 is of course possible, but I don't see anything particularly wrong with just going bishop b4. Hopefully setting up some trickery along this diagonal, even though I don't think I'm threatening all that much. He can just go rook hd8, when I would probably just play queen c2, maybe queen a4, and take it from there. Wow, I'm getting bored of this show myself already. Switch it off. It's gonna be more whining, more avoiding strong opponents, more almost falling asleep. You don't want to see this. We have so much great action today. We had the Chess Olympiad, the final round, by Peter Svidler. I believe we have another Banter Blitz coming up, so just take a break now. Go get some food, do something useful, get some fresh air. Seriously, this is not gonna be a good show. Sometimes I think I'm not selling this thing well enough. Now after queen c2, the bishop can go to e4 or to h7. Nah. I'll just go here, attack the queen, which does not seem to have a great square. Bishop h7, g6 seems like unnecessarily complicated. Well, now should be a way to win some more material. Maybe here, trying to overload his defenses. And take here, then take here, then take something else. Take as much as I can possibly get my greedy hands on. Takes, and I do believe that I'm winning a piece here. Takes and takes here. And Grug resigns, because I did manage to pick up a piece. Yeah, I'm not quite sure where things went wrong here. I mentioned I'm not sure if this is a bad move, but I wouldn't have played d5 so early. Just castle and then play d5 next move. Castle, bishop d3, d5 or something. Looks similar to the course of that Tomaszewski-Caruana game I mentioned. Let us play somebody else. What about, I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's very hard to choose. I struggle making decisions, as mentioned earlier. Therefore, more of a complainer than a maker, not a macher. What about this guy from Ghana? You really from Ghana? That'd be awesome. I have not seen a member from Ghana on the site yet. That'd be fantastic. Trikanti. Are you there, Trikanti? Sounds like I did miss something. I do that, especially today. I feel very missful. I wish this was even self-deprecating humor, but there's no humor. It's just blah, 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 blah. So how can we do better? Let's talk about my hobbies. I told you guys I became a dad. Don't expect me to talk much about it on this program anymore, because I'm very weird and private with private stuff. I prefer pretending that I'm still a careless bachelor who's watching movies all night, doesn't really do anything but watch TV, which is still close enough to the truth. Let's not pretend like all things have changed. And I do have a very exciting new hobby where I watch trashy movies from the 90s, where I grew up really, or yeah, I would consider myself a child of the 90s more than the 80s. And then I listened to a podcast called How Did This Get Made, where they discuss said movies. I've already made it through a bunch of those. I've watched classics like Bloodsport, technically not from the 90s. I know, it's 88, the first big Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I have time to tell the story because it says opponent disconnected, which would of course be a pity, but we'll wait if he gets back. So I watched Bloodsport, fantastic movie. It absolutely holds up. Based on a true story by the life story of Frank Dukes, even though some people say not so sure if all this kumite stuff is the whole truth. Anyway, great movie, of course. I've been informed there's a remake in the making called Lady Bloodsport. No pun intended, I believe that is the title. Seems like it's a bit of a trend to do reboots of everything with female casts now. So that's gonna be interesting. Anyway, that movie is too good, of course, to feature in a podcast about crappy movies. It's a fantastic movie, Bloodsport, and so are most of the other movies I've seen. I also watched Con Air. Somehow I managed to miss out on the Nicolas Cage classic Con Air, filmed in '97. It still says, sometimes he comes back, then it says he's back to disconnected. I'm not sure what's going on there with Tricanti. But there he is, makes a move, 92. Give me that pawn. Yeah, Con Air, another action, some would say trashy movie, but I will say awesome movie that completely holds up. What else? Oh yeah, I've done more of these things. You would wonder where I find the time, and rightly so. Should have other priorities, but I also watched Face Off, same vein. Face Off is so weird. You should watch it if you haven't seen it. It's John Travolta as Nicolas Cage and Nicolas Cage as John Travolta, because they change faces, as the title implicates. So yeah, another great movie. And now the other night I watched Judge Dredd, Sylvester, the original, or I don't know if it's the original, the one from 90-something, 95, with Sylvester Stallone as Judge Dredd. It's a little bananas, but brings me back. When I was young, those were all big cinematic events. We didn't think of these as trashy movies. We just thought of it as reasons to go to the movies. So I'm officially getting old, settling down, and yeah, living in the past, rewatching the movies of my youth from 20 years ago. Because let's face it, there's nothing good in the cinemas these days. Or is there? This game is gonna take a while apparently, because after every other move, Tricanti says it's disconnected, and we have to wait for him, which is of course a pity. So what else can I tell you about the movies I've seen? They're all great if you enjoy trashy movies. Like Face Off is it's bananas, but it's a proper good movie. Great action, John Woo movie. Con Air. Yeah, Con Air is one of these three that he did. Nicolas Cage did at the height of his powers. The Rock, Con Air, and then Face Off. He did those back to back to back. And yeah, I enjoy all of those. Someone in the chat says, Face Off is so bad. Nothing could be further from the truth. Face Off is fantastic, and it does totally hold up. This technology will be invented very soon. And prisoners will use it to escape from jail or from the medical facility where the operation is transformed. And of course, no one in the family of John Travolta will realize that they're now dealing with the criminal that is Nicolas Cage in that movie. So yeah, Face Off, great movie. Con Air, great movie. Bloodsport, great movie. Judge Dredd, little much even for me. Not sure I can really list that as a great movie. I also can't list this as a great game. I haven't really... Well, I've been paying attention, but because of the interruptions, the flow has been broken a bit. I don't really want to take on c3. Even though I could, but I want to get my king out of the way. Put it here, and now it looks like I have some threats. Light knight takes b2. Yeah, same old. Grabbing pawns wherever I can. I am Preciso is finally asking. Great question. What do you think about Stranger Things on Netflix? I did enjoy Stranger Things. As I just mentioned, I'm more of a child of the 90s, so I don't have that many 80s references. And of course, this is heavily based on all this 80s stuff like Goonies and the Stephen King stuff and so on. But I did enjoy it because it also holds up like as a fresh story, especially the part with the kids riding around, riding their bikes, figuring stuff out. Like takes me back to a simpler time where kids were, I think kids still ride bikes, didn't have a lot of cell phones. And it's just a highly enjoyable little show in spite of the scandal around Barb. I'm not a big Barb fan, but people were really upset by the Barb thing. Barb, not Bart. So yeah, I did enjoy Stranger Things. I've tried to get into Narcos season 2, but wasn't able to do it surprisingly. Like, I'm bored of it. Yeah, Escobar, these two guys, the two DEA agent, chase him around town. It's always the same two guys. There's like 800,000 Colombian police guys trying to catch him. But it always comes down to our two friends from the DEA that are involved in every storyline. They always just miss him. Like, I don't know. I'm tired of you, Narcos. Sorry. So yeah, that's been my TV viewing. I haven't made it very far in Narcos even. I did watch The Night of, as I've mentioned many times, enjoyed that one. Am I enjoying this game? I believe I'm a couple pawns up, so yeah, that tends to make me happy. Else, I'm heavily into podcasts these days. I mentioned How Did This Get Made? And I got extremely addicted to Comedy Bang Bang and the whole Comedy Bang Bang universe. Starting to appreciate the genius of some of these improv guys like Paul F. Tompkins or Andy Daly or the late Harris Whittles even more. And yeah, I love podcasts because it's such a great on the road, in the gym, in the subway, whatever you're doing, in the car activity. So I'm heavily addicted to podcasts. Some people that are trying to talk to me and can't because I always have my headphones in might say too addicted. But yeah, if you like weird humor, then check out Comedy Bang Bang. It's really my main activity these days. That's a bit much, but I'm very, very addicted to it. And not so addicted to chess, but I did win against Trikanti because he was running low on time and he had to bishop c2. B takes c2. The game was over. Thank you for the game, Mr. Trikanti. Okay, am I done with my TV discussion? Let me check what the chat has to say. Someone's living in the year 2000. What do you think about Prison Break? Is there a new Prison Break? Else I think what everybody else thinks as well. Season 1 was good. Everything else was trashy. Galactic heard Corona didn't enjoy The Night Off. No, but I meant The Night Off with one F, so maybe it's a misunderstanding. And I have done the Night Off joke many times myself, so you don't get credit for that. Check my Twitter, Galactic. Still, I do enjoy it. Yeah, enough Narcos. We agree on that. PD Fossen says, Jan, my son is good at chess, but sadly lost interest a bit. I turned him on to your videos on Chess24. Now he's having fun at it. Thanks. I am very glad to hear that, and I apologize in advance for your son giving up chess and starting to get addicted for Comedy Bang Bang. To Comedy Bang Bang. Bit of a, I don't know how old he is, but some of the Comedy Bang Bang content might not be suited for young kids. But yeah, glad to hear that, seriously. Let's play somebody else and talk about some chess on this show. After all, while it is mainly meant as a TV discussion vehicle for me, we also want to have a bit of chess in here. I'll accept somebody. Oh, Sounds scary. Fanat 666. Not only scary because of the high rating, also because of the 666. He goes d4, and I shall mirror his move by playing d5. c4, no more mirroring, even though c5 is not as bad a move as people think. You know what? I'll play c5. Just because I was talking about mirroring. Some guys have experimented with that. The most prominent one, Shakhmamedyarov. And it's one of these moves that, yeah, the main thing it has going for itself is it's not as bad as it looks. D takes c5. Do they do dc5, I think? cd is more common. dc, I should probably just go e6. Try to win this pawn back ASAP. Maybe you could make a case for d4, but that's not how I do it. Let's see what Fanat666 comes up with. Looks like he doesn't want to try to hang on to the pawn and just wants a normal game. I don't mind normal games, as long as I'm doing okay. If I'm in trouble, I don't like normal. Now we sort of have a Queen's Gambit accepted with colors reversed. He does take on d5, leading to a bit more lively a game with an IQP, as us chess experts call it, an isolated queen's pawn on d5. But I do have pretty active pieces. Can't say that IQPs sounds dirty. That word always sounds dirty to me, even though it really does just mean, it's not really a word, right? It really does just mean isolated queen's pawn. I can't say it with a straight face. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, active pieces and so on, but isolated queen's pawns, not my strongest suit. Not quite sure what my strongest suit is. Also not sure if I should go a6 and encourage him to take here or not. But I did it, so too late to reconsider. Now the structure has transformed to what we call, in the industry, we call it hanging pawns. Now the complex structure, where long term these pawns can be weakish and white can try to block them on these, whatever we call those. I believe dark squares is the expert's term. But black also has some active chances here with the two bishops. I put my rooks on d8 and e8 after knight a4, which I'm expecting to happen soon. I was gonna go c5, but now I'm regretting starting with rook a8 because Fanat, correctly probably, plays queen e2, targeting this pawn. And while an active player would probably sacrifice it, I can't get myself to sacrifice any of my little ones unless I really, really have to. And I did not feel that desperation yet. Knight a4, now I have to be a little careful not to lose this fight for the central squares or the dark squares on d4 and c5. Still, I do sort of believe in my position because I have these two bishops pointed at the king side and nothing. I haven't made too big a concession yet. Put this rook on e8, that's part of the plan. And then have a look around what we can do next. Not quite sure what to do next, but then again, isn't that a problem for all of us? Queen c2, can I go c5? Rook d5, bishop a4 seems to work. Guess he would go knight c3. Do I want that? I can go bishop c6. Not sure it transforms the position in my favor. I have a feeling this might be a mistake, weakening things a little bit, but I couldn't think of anything better. So here we are. Point is, if he takes twice on d5, I have bishop h2 check, winning the exchange. But of course, there's knight takes e4, which clarifies the structure, and I'm not sure this has been a very advantageous transformation for me. Queen c3, what do I do? Queen f8 or f6? Don't particularly like either move. Yeah, I'm slowly getting a little outplayed here. Not happy about it. I missed this queen c3 Zwischenzug. Don't like it one bit. Not even one bit. I'll go here, but it feels very wrong to misplace my queen like that, and now I'm certainly in some amount of trouble, under some pressure, because I wanted to use a queen actively and not back home. What to do? I must try to stick around But things have not gone well. That much I can state with certainty. At least I'm behind on the clock. However, now my favorite part of the game, making random moves as quickly as I can, has begun. You gonna take that? You really taking that? He does really want to take that. Yeah. And I'm not very fast with the random move thingy, which I announced earlier. Alright, here. I'm gonna need my queen involved in the events to come. That much is clear. Queen c5, I guess I can take and go d2. So that's not very concerning. And knight c4, I was hoping to make something happen here. Not sure if anything is happening, but at least I'm threatening checkmate. And it's always a good practical thing to threaten checkmate, because your opponent has to parry that threat and can't think of doing bad things to you while the checkmate is threatened. Probably g4 is the best move, as crazy as it looks. Because g3, queen f5, I will get dangerously close to his king. Actually, g3, queen f5, knight d2 might not be any progress just yet, but it feels good. Maybe g3, bishop a8 is also possible. Decisions, but I managed to overtake him on the clock. And then to just blitz down queen f5, even though I had seen knight d2, which can only be explained with severe stupidity. Still, the action continues. Now this pawn is hanging, so things aren't that clear. The feeling I'm doing okay-ish. e4, I'll take here anyway, because I don't know any better. Yeah, queen e7 is probably a good move. It distracts me from my cruel intentions. Yeah, looks like I've bungled it again over the last couple moves. And Mr. Fanat666 has activated, well, my rook on f8. Not exactly a model employee. Then again, it does cover this pawn, so it's not all bad. But maybe could contribute a little more. Ah, there was the point. Oh boy, I'm blundering the easiest things. Now I'm in real big trouble. Queen a8, d2, queen endgame, couple pawns down, should be lost. Yeah, it is lost. Just a terrible, terrible game. What can I hope for? I guess I have to take here. At least try to get rid of some pawns. Still pretty lost. 2 pawns are 2 pawns. But these queen endgames, you know, sometimes there's some drawing chances, because queens can give a lot of checks. That'd just be 1 check. I don't really want to give 1 check. Ah, but he's just moving his b-pawn. That is annoying. Yeah, now I'm kind of very lost, because b5 followed by putting the queen on c6 just decides the game. Or yeah, queen on this diagonal just pretty much decides the game without having to worry about anything. What can I hope for? Some stalemates maybe? Not even stalemates. That is a pity. Fanat666 is crushing me, which is very sad. I don't like getting crushed. It's nothing I particularly enjoy. Looks like he's got it all figured out. Another check. Stop checking me, Fanat. Oh, you can get a queen if you want one. Yeah, enough is enough. Good game by Mr. Fanat666. Bad game by Mr. Jan Gustafsson. Oh boy, that's what happens when I start talking about chess one game. Or when I start playing stronger opponents. Some cynics out there might say. But of course, nothing could be further from the truth. Whom do we play next? I don't know. Okay, let's let's play another strong opponent. Because you know how I am when I lose a game. I start getting whiny, but I also want to defeat a strong opponent to re-establish myself as a grandmaster. Because that's the thing with only doing banter blitzes. It really hurts my little ego to lose a game. Even though I think I'm over the worst Chess 24 online rating obsession. But we're playing Vegeta now, an international master from Belgium. Does he give his name? Yeah, Stefan Dox. And he plays a slowish opening, c4, knight f3, e3. So let's play slow chess, let's get our pieces out. We shall both develop them, then castle. Could play c5 here, but I don't see anything wrong with b6, bishop b7, and taking it from there. In general, sometimes goofballs that play like this, they want to go for some rook g1, g4 plans, but that is very, very welcome. cd5, should I go ed5? That's once again leading to a structure I don't particularly enjoy, but it feels like it leaves us more fighting chances than knight takes d5, which probably would be my choice in a less sanguine mood. Not sure. c5 you could also certainly make a case for, but I want to play this Carlsbadian, which I believe is the correct term, this Carlsbadian structure. Knight b7, I'm hoping he gives me a move to put my bishop on d6. I was much more concerned about knight to e5 immediately, because now my pieces are kind of okay, so yeah, he has to go for e4. There's no other serious plan. I should just think how I want to prepare for that. Maybe by going rook c8, just defending c6 in advance, because e4 is going to come. And just to show that I've seen it coming, I'm going to pre-move this. Okay, h3 you can do, but one day or another, I believe white has to go for e4. I don't see another plan. There we go. That's why I went rook c8, so that I have this pawn covered. One drawback of rook c8 is that he can play bishop f5 now, but does not seem to be the end of all chess. Because after rook c7, this rook might find some work one day on e7. d5, so aggressive. Everybody wants to checkmate. Poor me. What have I done to deserve all this? I should think once in a while. I believe that has been a bit of a theme the last couple of games, that I'm just making moves without thinking much. Because I was honestly intending to go rook c2, but after bishop d8, the body count is not really in my favor, so I have to go gf6, which was not the plan. I'm not sure how bad the position is. It's probably bad. We'll find out. Where do I put this king? h8, g7? Maybe g7. Once again, no particular deductive reasoning. Is that a word? But instead, random moves. g7, h8. Who knows? So far so good. I got a weakish king. Material is equal. I should do something active somehow. Not quite sure what that active thing could be. Bishop here. He's gonna go knight d4 just to try to get to this square. Oh no, I was wrong about that. All right. Bishop f5, probably the plan is queen d4, queen g4. Not a dumb plan, actually. Yeah, I'm just playing really, really bad. How can I break out of this downward spiral? I do not know. Can't think of a move. Just can't think of a single move. Will that change if I keep staring at the position? Doubt it. Much easier to play with white, really. You know what? Let's panic. Give up this pawn. Free the bishop. See what happens. Probably nothing good is going to happen. Oh boy. Maybe this will be the first Banter Blitz session where I just lose all my games. Why not lose all my games? Queen h4. He is very sneaky. He spotted bishop f3, queen g3 check, and wants to use that to his advantage. And who can blame him? Queen h7, does that kill me? Might kill me. King f8, queen h8, king e7. Ooh. Taking a walk on the wild side here. But it's bad. Pawn down, bad king, bad mood. Oh, did I just blunder a rook? Oh boy. The good thing is I am an expert at these self-fulfilling prophecies. And Vegeta's rubbing it in. He's saying, oops, in the chat. Yeah, I know. And I will resign after queen c3 because I'm a rook down, which is probably too much. Good game, Vegeta. Another bad game by yours truly. The good thing is they give you this GM title for life, so I can lose as many games as I want. I will still say, I used to be good. I used to be a grandmaster. I still am a grandmaster. So how can I stop the bleeding? I don't know. Might just embrace it and keep bleeding away. I must also find an opponent. You know what? I believe I found just the guy to stop the bleeding. As they say, after 2 losses, play a 1497 and get your feet back on the ground. Back-to-back losses. Has that happened on this program before? You historians of Banter Blitz with Jan Gustafsson, have I done this? I have a feeling I probably have done this before. Emil Savory is around. What's up with the chat? Paul Susted is waiting for me. Nah, Emil Savory is not around. The one guy I'd chosen to get back on track is gone. Whom can we play then? As usual, I slightly, but just slightly, prefer guys I've never played before. Like Georgi E. Georgi E? Where are you, Georgi E? Another German. Alejandro 1997 asks, Jan, will you play me? That's another rule I have. If you ask in the chat if I will play you, I probably won't play you because I'm assuming that everybody wants to play me. So asking in the chat, yeah, it's just, I don't know, shouldn't help your chances. Oh boy, not only did I lose 2, now everybody is challenging me, but then not playing me to rub it in. I need to win a game, doesn't matter against whom, to get my feet back on the ground. Because they literally have one foot on the ground, the other one is floating in midair, which looks very weird if you guys could see it. But Georgi is also not with us, so let's try again. Any other noobs here? Looks like I never played Jogger. Even though, not my favorite time control. It's taking so long, Jogger. I just saw it's 4 + 2. That is just taking too long. Tomaf is asking, Jan, when are the German banters with you? Very, very seldom. But I believe there is a German banter today with Nicolas Lubbe. So you can check that out. I do them once in a blue moon, but normally I stick to English because more people understand and the Germans can follow and all that. So yeah, that's the problem. Whenever I do something, I show my lovely face here. And what most people are asking, when are you going to do something in German? When is part 3 of your video series coming out? When is a new opening clinic? I'm trying to do stuff, guys, but I've been busy. I'm very busy the last couple of weeks, and I'll be busy for another 2 weeks, then I'll be back in full force. So apologies, there's not more of me, but I'm trying to lose to all of you today so I can keep you happy for a moment. This is a theoretical Najdorf line. H6, is H6 the main move? I thought, but I could be wrong about this, that It's normally a priority to stop bishop c4 here after knight f3, and therefore people go queen c7. But my Najdorf knowledge is incredibly dated, so do not quote me on this. In general, it's a way more positional line than these sharp knight b3, queen d2, f3 lines. So it should suit my, some would say boring, others would say technical. Even others would say terrible, because I'm just losing games left and right. Style of chess pretty well. I'm also not sure if I should have gone a4. Probably I should have gone a4 to stop this b5, bishop b7 business that just occurred. Yeah, should have done that. Or after b5 played bishop d5. Not my proudest day today. And normally I do lack the mental strength to escape from a downward spiral like that, turn things around, but I just talk and play myself into a hole, get even more frustrated, play more bad moves, get more upset at the world. I wish I was being facetious, but nah, it is the stone cold truth. Knight b7, Jogger is so far schooling me in the Najdorf. He's intending to go knight c5. He's won the opening battle, and I have to go for emergency breaks and go knight to d5 before knight c5 is happening. And I'd be in trouble. Emil Savory is back. Sorry, I normally, if you're not there the first time, I accept. I normally don't do it again in the program, but I'm sure we'll get a chance to play eventually, Mr. Emil. Here, I still have a feeling I lost too much time with this queen d3, bishop b3 operation. Black should be comfortably equal. Something like knight f6, followed by whatever, rook c8, maybe even d5 works. Not a model game of how to handle the Najdorf. I still have some ideas at my disposal. Maybe I can try to bring this knight to a better square on f5. Gotta be a little careful that Mr. e4 doesn't drop. Queen b7, knight f5, let's say rook e8. Is the correct evaluation of this position. Here comes the knight again. Do I have some tricks? Bishop h6, queen g3? I should at least try. And you can see my mood, because I didn't calculate gh, queen g3, king f8, which a normal person, let alone a normal grandmaster, let alone a normally very, very cautious grandmaster, would certainly have done before embarking on this. But it's what us in the chess business call tilt. Gh, check, king f8, queen g7, and it's not really going anywhere. Oh boy. No way back, Puff Daddy and the family. So, might as well hope for the best. But I'm not sure how good the best is. Queen c4. I do not really see my attack breaking through. King d7 is also possible. Oh well, I guess I just keep taking pawns and hope for good things to happen to me. Because sometimes what we need is just one little thing breaking our way, and things are back. Yeah, I told you at the start of the show, in my defense, I told you at the start of the show, I'm tired, don't watch today. It's not gonna be fun, it's not gonna be good chess. It's gonna disappoint you. Take your break now. Come back after it. Then, we have some expert evaluations in the chat. I do not disagree with any of them. But I will win this game, which I'm not sure how much pride I should take in that fact, but I have a good feeling about it still. I'm going for some cheapos with knight f5 followed by rook takes d6. However, I am not sure these cheapos should materialize against best defense. Then again, that is probably the definition of cheapos, right? So now I'm planning to go rook d6. I could have gone for rook d6 straight away, king d6, rook d1 check. But since I have material down, I'm not quite sure if that transformation of the position would have helped me. Can't fool Jogger though. People don't fall for my cheapos. I am surprisingly resourceless, I believe is the word. I would like to take here, then get my queen out of the way magically and go knight g7 checkmate. But I do not know how to accomplish all these things. Might be because of my lack of pieces. Yeah, don't know what to do. I'll go here. I hope for some different cheapos with knight g7, queen f5, knight e6. But once again, should probably not get the job done against best defense. And the good thing is I have no idea what the best defense is. I'm just gonna keep using that term, assuming it exists. But poor Jogger Boy has to find it in real life blitz, real life online blitz conditions. Not sure if that's a contradiction. Yeah, that could be a good move. I'll give this check. I guess he should take just to get rid of the knight, but maybe he shouldn't have taken. Yeah, I think he was almost right. Maybe he should have gone king c6 instead of king c7, however, because now the knight has his say. And after a very tough battle, I defeated an opponent rated 1,200 points lower than me. So congratulations to me. I will mark this as the official turning point. And from now on, I will be an irresistible force crushing all of you. Okay, that's a bit unlikely. Let's start with Vegeta. Focus. Tatalimov is asking big questions. Jan, what do you think that motivates average chess players to enter tournaments? Fun, money prizes, elo, experience, ego? Are these the options? I don't know. What motivates you, Tatalimov? For me, it's been mainly ego, which is very connected to elo. And if my ego and my elo are fed, I enjoy the process, therefore I have fun. Sometimes, eventually, it led to money prizes, even though then I wasn't average anymore. What else was on the list? Experience? I don't know. Do we ever do anything for experience? Maybe we do. Vegeta does not seem to be around for the experience of crushing me when I'm the most vulnerable. So we have to abort our game against Vegeta. Who else could be around? Let's move the board up a little bit, because why not? Another very strong opponent, Mr. Swimmer Chess from India, 2634. I guess he's not there. Most guys just challenge me and then they go cook lunch, or they followed my advice at the beginning of the show. Locked out, went for a little nap. No, Swimmer Chess here. Goes for the move 1d4. Excellent move. c4. I shall go e6 and he goes for g3. The Catalan. Why do we have to play the Catalan? I've mentioned this on 80,000 shows. My main repertoire is bishop e7, but when steaming / playing for a win, I will sometimes go for dc4 and a6 because it spices up the game a little bit. Don't believe in it objectively, because after e3 followed by queen e2, I believe white is better. And I guess since I've mentioned this on 8,000 shows, people will start doing this against me eventually. And maybe Swimmer Chess is the first one. b5, the problem is, yeah, all these pawn sacrifices with b3 just leave black with a very ugly position. And who likes ugly positions? I do not. Now the problem is I forgot whatever theory there is in this position. But even if I knew theory, I would say don't do this at home because this is bad for black. The problem is not so much the early 95s, even though that could be a problem as well. But pretty much, yeah, slow plans. Bishop to b2, rook to c1, knight e1, knight d3, or knight e5, knight d3. The black position is just very, very unpleasant to play. In spite of the extra pawn, it's nothing that I would recommend. And it looks like Swimmer Chess knows all about this. I'm just gonna get crushed again. I'm so tired of getting crushed every game. It's not a fun experience. I'll provoke e4, which probably does not help my chances. But if this diagonal is closed, at least some of my positional worries disappear. I'm actually more worried about knight e1, which he blitzes out. What are you doing, Swimmer Chess? Stop crushing me. It hurts my feelings. I'll take this knight. I don't want it appearing on c5. But now, yeah, it's a pretty disgusting position, even though I am a pawn up. That is literally, almost literally, tough word for me to pronounce, by the way. Literally is what I normally say, but it sounds a little messy. Literally. The only good thing about my position is the extra pawn. Everything else is bad. Two bishops, central control. Weaknesses. Yeah, all that stuff. So my usually optimistic evaluation of the position, f6 or b6. Maybe b6 for no particular reason. I'm thinking about knight c3, a4. Bishop a3, something. That's how far my thought process has gone so far. But no active moves. We did all agree to not make any active moves. I shall play c6, making my pieces even more pathetic defending this pawn. And of course, Swimmer Chess, who's a strong player, goes for e5, pronouncing these new weaknesses I created. No, I'm playing so badly, it's really embarrassing. I just rejected a4 because of bishop a3, and then 1 second later I forget about that fact. And he plays bishop a3, he's sort of playing strongly as well, which is not a thing that I appreciate either. But yeah, that was just another blunder, right? Oh boy, this might be the weakest I've ever played. And I've played many weak Banter Blitz sessions, but today might be a new low even for me. So, how can I stick around? Probably stop whining for once. Nah. That can't be it. Queen e7, knight a2, c5, dc. Doesn't look good. Or c5, bishop a8. Nah, it's all pretty grim. AB, bishop b4, okay, 1, okay, 1. Nah, nothing there either. But I'll go for this because everything else looks hopeless too. I'm already pieced down, and he shouldn't even take on f8 because this bishop is more powerful than my pathetic rook on f8. So yeah, I'm just getting crushed again. This is spectacular. Tormafer asks if I plundered the knight b4. Probably I did. Not quite sure what he's trying to say. But yeah, this position is totally hopeless. Easiest is to take and then take on b2, which I'm guessing is what Swimmer Chess is gonna do. Any hope? No hope? No new hopes? Not really. Nah. Nothing I can do. Why does every 2600 player on this site make me look like a total beginner today? Probably because I am playing like a total beginner today, but that is not a very satisfactory explanation. I told you I'm very tired, even though I don't really have a good reason for that either. And yeah, this game is pretty much over after rook c2, so I'm not quite sure what he's thinking about. Instead of resigning, I blame my opponents for taking their time to make sure they're winning. Another sign of true sportsmanship. And yeah, enough is enough. Let's resign this. Congratulations, Swimmer Chess, who played what I've known to be the refutation of this line, but I should probably stop playing that line at some point. Good game. I believe I gotta keep this going and try to look for strong opponents to crush me. Might as well dig myself a deeper hole. Why not play against another international master, Chess UD98 from Norway? Mr. Chess UD. Are you around? There he is. Another d4 player. I'm sure he plays the Catalan too. Everybody plays the Catalan. What can I do? I can play the 2 knights tango. That's what I can do. Because one more Catalan would have crushed my spirit. Here, many options for white. g3 normally transposes to some sort of Bogo Indian after bishop b4. Knight c3 transposes to some sort of Nimzo Indian after bishop b4. And is also the move I would normally choose in this position. Now, what do they do? Let's start with castles, I guess. The main move here is bishop d2, d6, a3, takes, and then queen e7 or a5. Many a move gets played in this position. What do I play? I think I'll go queen e7. White is a little better in all these lines after e3, e5. Either takes or d5. Takes is the more solid approach, which of course he pre-moves. Yeah, leading to a slightly better position for white. I've played this myself. It's not the end of the world. It's sort of playable for black, but it's just, yeah, risk-free 2-bishop position, so it's not bad. Let's see what Chess UD does here. Bishop e2 looks natural. Guess I should offer the exchange of these bishops, or is that losing a pawn? Because I don't like losing pawns that much. Yeah, might be a bit much, so I'll start with b6. That does allow bishop f3, but then rook b8, followed by bishop b7. Doesn't look too terrible, I thought. Don't really want to play e4 after bishop f3 because of bishop takes f6. There he goes. Rook b8. Castles. Bishop b7. Is there gonna be trouble? Could be some small trouble after takes and queen f5. Because this pawn is a little vulnerable, but might not be the end of the world yet. I've said that many times, and normally it has been almost the end of the world whenever I've said it. So do I go g6 or h6 here? I have to defend against the threat of taking on e5. Maybe I should just go back. Sometimes you have to take one step back to make 2 steps forward, or to just take a step back. Rook d2, what to do? Queen c5 could be a move. Or I could go h6 and wait for him to play rook d1 finally, because I don't think there's that much to be gained on the d file. Now I shall go here, attacking a pawn. Then we see my very deep thinking, no more b3, because I can take on e3 with the rook now on d1. Very, very deep, grandmasterly thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Should I do this? I'm not sure. It allows b4 with further simplifications. Not sure how great an idea that was. But then again, I tend to doubt most of my ideas. If he doesn't do it, maybe one day I can go a4 and fix things on the queen side a bit. And by one day, I mean instantly. Another thing I could do one day, and by one day I mean very soon, is to go rook d8, offer an exchange of all my, whatever we call these things, rooks for the queen. After rook c2, c4 is already covered, so that plan became a little less exciting. So I'll make a random move, h5, and see what happens next. Does he want to go c5 or does he not? I'm not sure. c5, b5 could be in my favor, because yeah, it's not so clear what the rook is doing there. I have a feeling I should make more random moves quickly. It doesn't look like Chess UD98 has the deepest of plan in this position either. Therefore, might as well move back and forth, try to do that more quickly than him, which is one of my expert skills. Go away. Not sure I've improved my position very much by weakening all these dark squares, but the main goal was to make moves quickly, and I've certainly done that. Boy. This is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous, even for my standards, which are very low by now. That was too much even for me. Finally, my spirit got broken. And of course, I'm gonna be bet sports and play on. Because you don't just want to lose on the board, you also want to get flaggedish. That was an unfortunate pre-move, and we've classed up proceedings quite a bit, I would say. Bad news for me is my position might still be bad, even though he gave me a whole rook. But at least it's more exciting now than it used to be. Yeah, it's still pretty bad. Still pretty lost, actually. Checkmate! How can that be checkmate? That's so rude. Congratulations, Chess UD. Another great effort by yours truly. I really thought I was gonna win that one until I blundered that knight in one move. But yeah, I deserved that. Oh boy. Let's keep this train wreck going. Do we have any other strong players challenging? Today is your day because you see how I'm playing and I'm not gonna stop. At the same time, I've just insulted everybody whose challenge I won't accept now because I'm thinking they're not capable of beating me even in my current state, which is an insult to everybody. What about the TheJakeX? The TheJakeX EX. You know what? I want to beat the Jake, but I'm not sure. I was serious about my steaming capacities earlier. I'm not sure I will muster the strength and focus required to do so. Bishop b4 check. Knight b2, I believe, is a critical move. Bishop d2, of course, is also possible. But I always thought that this was more challenging. Bishop d2, I think queen takes is the main move. But I'm curious if bishop takes makes sense here as well. Since he already played castles, which means it's a little less tempting for him. I could have gone queen c2, sort of transposing to what we played last game. But my point was, since he already castled, it's a little less tempting for him to go h6 and g5. And that's what my play is based on? Based upon? Back to base? Base camp? I don't know. So far so good. He probably still has to go g5 at some point, because else breaking this pin is going to be very, very tough. And doing without it strikes me as difficult. What do I want to do? My normal chicken-esque approach would be to take here and play a similar structure to what we've seen last game. But you know what? Let's do something a little different. The drawback is that this knight on d7 will help breaking the pin, but it's still a position which I like. I have the two bishops and I have the option of building up long-term on the king side, queen c2, rook e1, and then some f4 or whatever. So I do think white is doing fine here. But of course, the game's just beginning. a5. This is an eternal question in these structures. Do you want to allow a4 or not? I don't have a strong opinion either way. I believe queen c2, a4, whatever. Rook a1 was perfectly playable as well. And the drawback of my b3 is that I allow bishop f5, which frankly I didn't think he would play. I think it's a good move because it stops my natural setup with queen c2 and made me go e4, which is not always ideal for my plans with a later f4. Having said all that, I still do like my position with the two bishops and the extra space. So it's still whining on a reasonably high level compared to thing we've seen in the past. Bishop h7, interesting. This bishop could either be cleverly placed or could find no work whatsoever in the events to come. We'll see which one it is. I have a feeling that now with his bishop on h7, I should switch my focus to the queen side. Start playing here a bit, because yeah, this bishop could very easily end out of play. Queen f8, he's trying to unpin. The problem is that it's still very hard to move this knight. That's why I haven't gone f3 or anything yet. I have a feeling I'm certainly capable of blundering a trick any moment today, but I don't see one yet. So, still liking my position. Ah, that was the point of queen f8. He wants to go rook a8 and fight for the a-file. Alright, I want to keep some material on the board. Could certainly argue that should have been more humble, blah 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 blah. I'm also preparing c5, which would blunder the pawn on d5. So just for the record, I want to state here that I've seen this. I might forget about it and still do it next move, because we've seen what I've been capable of doing all these games. But for now, I've seen that. One sort of chicken game is I don't really want to play f3 because it allows him to go knight h5 and then try to create some counterplay with f5 or knight f4. So not too keen to do that, but if I don't go f3, it's going to be sort of hard to coordinate and activate my pieces further. Therefore, yeah, not sure how to resolve that conundrum. Could go bishop f3, which is really asking him to go g5. But nah, I'll play the normal move f3. I'll allow this knight h5 business. Try to get this bishop back into action and see what happens. Not sure about it. A lot of second guessing today, not a lot of strong chessing. I believe that's how we say it. Yeah. He does have the A file, but I'm not sure how much there is to be gained on that file. Even though, of course, I have to be very cautious not to blunder any pawns, because I've blundered bigger things than pawns today. Pawnee, Indiana. I'm still operating under the assumption that none of these things will kill me, and that my two bishops and this bishop on h7 will long-term turn out to be serious problems for the Jakester. But, okay, I've mentioned often enough my capability for blunders and all that. I guess you're tired of hearing it, and instead you want to see my still pretty amazing, even in my weakened state, tactical prowess. c5, intending to put a bishop on b5 and take some material, is, yeah, I wouldn't call it genius, but you certainly need to be a very, very special talent to come up with moves like that. Let's not be overly humble here. This is one of the greatest combinations mankind has ever seen. But seriously, I am slightly better, or seriously better now, because knight c4 is in the air, knight f5 is coming, and as I was hoping, this bishop is not really participating in the game. So, does that bother me? Knight c4 maybe wants f5, so I guess I could go here to rule that out. And we'll see what happens. Jakester is in trouble. And resigns. Yay me, I defeated a strong opponent, and everything shall be great again. Who else? Whom else? I've had lots of discussions with many people about the who-whom conundrum, and most smart people have been telling me, you know what, nowadays you can just say who for everything and forget about the whom. And you will never be wrong. It feels a little dirty to just abandon the good old home, which has never done me any harm, but I might go with that. And yeah, please praise me for that fantastic game, because it's been fantastic chess today all the way. And yeah, still steaming. Didn't do it for me, but now I can play Mr. Vipanos. Play somebody I've never played before. He goes e4, and of course I shall play the Sicilian. e4, c5, knight to f3, which is normally leading to the open Sicilian, as us chess experts call it. Knight to c6, d4. After c takes d, knight takes d4, many an option. I believe one of the last shows I played the Pelican, knight f6, e5. This time I shall play Van Kampen style, play e6, the opening which in English-speaking territories is known as the Taimanov. In German-speaking territories we call it the Paulsen. Vipanos, or I'm not sure, maybe it's Vipanos, because VIP are spelled in capital letters. Who knows such things? Bishop e3, I'll go bishop b4, you could play bishop e7 and a so-called Scheveningen, but bishop b4 is a line of my childhood. Knight a4 is the main move, some sharp lines with f4 are certainly legal as well. We shall see what Vipanos comes up with. Knight a4 is the main move, bishop e7 is what I used to play. Takes bc, knight b6, rook b8, knight c8, queen c8 is a line we used to play when we were young. e5 was the main line here long time ago. Then bishop d4 took over as the new main line, new sheriff in town. We'll see which one Vipanos comes up with, or if maybe he panics, does something completely different. e5, knight d5, bishop c1, bishop c5 is sort of the old way to play. Bishop d4 allows c5, right? Not that it's winning or anything, but now in order to stay connected to the b2 pawn, he has to go bishop c3 or maybe c4. Probably c4 is a better move when I can cut the bishop pair in half. I'm thinking as I speak, not my forte as we've seen, about c4, cd4, cd5, queen c5, something along those lines, which looks possible. Another option would be to play c4, knight f4, and then just grab this other bishop with probably a roughly equal position, even though sometimes black has to be a little careful in this structure not to end up with weakish pawns. He does go c4. Nicely done, Vipanos. I'll go for this because it looks like more fun than the knight f4 stuff I mentioned a second ago. Might also be more bad. And yeah, I know that's not correct grammar, you grammar fanatics out there. Bigger, badder, and uncut. All of our videos are uncut, but that's for lack of editing skills, not as a statement how rough and unfiltered we are. Maybe. Not sure that's true. He takes this. Can't blame him. I'll take this. Generally, but that's a very general rule, in the middle game, pawns in the center should be more important than passed pawns on the queen side, while in the end game, these passed pawns could turn out to be more important. So it would be my job to try to keep pieces on the board, and Panos' job to try to get rid of some pieces. But of course, that is a very general statement, and such general statements can normally be overruled by cheapos trying to grab material, for example. Is many a time more important than strategic guidelines, blah blah blah. G6 or H6, I do not know, but it seems like G6 is more prudent here, not weakening these light squares around my king. H4, very aggressive, and who can blame him? And then again, H5 is not that big a threat. Queen H4, Bishop G6 is his idea, which of course still favors me. Actually, yeah, let's be even greedier. One thing I have not been cured of today is this excessive greed. What time is it? Are we done with this hellish show anytime soon? 15 more minutes. That should translate to probably 2 more games. Vipanos is thinking. I want to take on G6, but then do I really have a perpetual? And bad news, Vipanos, I do not think you do have a perpetual. Rook E4, I could take on F2 if I chose to do so. And long story short, I do chose to do so. Yeah. My grammar is rapidly deteriorating as well. This was the plan. Let's hope it's not mate in 1 somewhere. Would not surprise me unduly. But the point was Queen H6, Rook H7, and pretty much anything Rook H7 with game over. And therefore Vipanos resigns. Good game, Vipanos. Probably panicked too early there, but no, he blundered this bishop b4. That was really the clincher. You know what? I got a haircut yesterday, and today already it bothers me that my hair looks too long. So probably that means that I should have instructed the hair cutting lady, that is the proper term, to cut my hair shorter. I have a feeling I should have done that. And I have a feeling I should crush Kutch Cop. Mr. Kutch Cop, are you with us? There he is, the Quatchter. He goes E4, not a bad move. I will play E5, which I always considered to be a good move because it stops this pawn on E4 in his tracks. Can't advance any further. You're not giving any ground in the center. So all black has to do is be careful the next couple moves. Neutralize a temporary white initiative after knight f3 attacking this pawn. Or you could get even luckier and they just give you a free pawn. But normally these things only happen in fairy tales where they just throw free pawns at you. Can't really hope for that in real life. Actually, I might have been a little careless, but that won't surprise you by going for bishop to g7, because now g3 is a legal option. Well, I started with h6, I could just have taken on g3. So, let's think. g3, g4 is of course principled, knight h4 and then f3. And I've always mistrusted having this extra passed pawn on f3 so early. It doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel earned. You want it to feel real, so I'll just develop some pieces instead. And after gf, go for g4 with a mess. You think you're very clever playing rook g1. Maybe you are, but maybe you're not. That is what we're here to find out. Probably he was very clever and probably I'm making totally insane moves. But let's have some fun. It's a very weird position already. Queen f3, I have knight d4, so that doesn't concern me all that much. d4, I thought I also have knight e4, so that didn't concern me all that much either. I thought he should have gone knight c3. Just stop me from doing this. Then again, there might be tricks that I did not see coming, like queen takes f3 now, but I can take here. Then after hg, go either knight d4 or queen e7. So I have a feeling this should be good for me. Do I go here? Play with his feelings a little bit? I think I can't help help myself. If I can play with my opponent's feelings, I will normally seize that chance. Even though objectively this might be a bad move because of queen c3 or queen d3. But what's done is done. Alright, let's give this check. Still a very weird position. I have no idea what's going on. I have a feeling I blundered with knight d4 though, to be honest with you. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the more I look at it that that feeling is correct. So I did not really manage to play with his feelings. Instead, I hurt my own feelings. This is the only chance because after c5, c3, this knight is trapped in the middle of the board. So I have to go here and hope to make this somehow work. Bishop e3, queen c2. Maybe it does work, but I would not say that this was part of any long-term plan, and queen e3 check is probably a problem. Probable. Let's see if Kutch Cop can spot that. Queen e3 followed by c3. Gives me lots of trouble. Queen e4 gives me less trouble. He's trying to checkmate me with bishop g5. But is it really checkmate, Kutch Cop? First of all, I could go f6. Secondly, I could take on c2 and be extremely greedy, which is right up my alley. Kutch Cop is probably trying to go bishop g5 check, but it's not a legal move. Sort of a funny position, but I do hope that greed will pay off in the end. I don't think I'm allowed to castle, even though I would really like to. It's a weird position. My position is so ugly and none of my pieces are doing anything, but I'm so much material up that it should be winning. Bishop h6 check helps me free my pieces, so you should have tried to play f6 or something, which was arguably a better fighting chance. Do I go forward? Backwards? I think I want to go forward. Oh, that way. Okay, give me. Still gotta handle it with care. It's a very funny position. Doesn't feel like I'm lots of material up, but I am. Gotta go forward here. No more retreating. Sometimes we have to do it Steinitz style. Sometimes the king has to take care of himself. However, that was a blunder because of knight c7, so no real reason for Kutch Cop to resign, but he was running a bit low on time here. Knight c7, rook b8, knight d5, king e6, and the adventures continue. Bishop c4, what do I know? Still, very exciting game against Mr. Kutch Cop, so thank you for that. And we shall play one last game, then I'll go home. Play one more guy. I've never played before, because that is, as I keep saying, and then ignoring it, the main idea of this show. So whom have I never played? What about Georgi S? But it's a stupid time control. Please don't do this 4+2. It eliminates all the flagging fun. And it takes so long. I saw it too late. 3 minutes or 5 minutes. But 4-2, it's really not my 4-2. Yeah, it wasn't that funny. e4, let's play the Caro-Can. Pre-move d5. I don't see a scenario where after e4, c6, d5 can be a terrible pre-move. There might be some moves where it's not ideal, like 2 bishop b5 or bishop a6, but I can't think of a scenario where it's terrible. 95, this used to be fashionable like 10 years ago for a brief moment in time. I think back then I thought that this is the... This is not going anywhere. That g6 followed by bishop g7 castles was the most reliable way to meet this. And since I haven't looked at it since, I am still operating under that assumption. We have a typical Carlsbad structure, but knight takes d7 I really dislike. He's giving up all his trumps way too easily. This powerful knight on e5 and the already developed bishop to play this position where now black has zero problems. So did not like that exchange, George. And I shall start the good old minority attack. This is a concept I learned about when I was very young, when I was very fresh, new to chess. I believe I had a book by some Hungarian guy, can't remember, Bela Todt, something like this, called Der Minoritätsangriff. I might not have been as fluent in the common tongue back then as I was now. So I studied the minority attack, and probably that book made me such a boring player. Had it been called kingside attack instead of minority attack, who knows what could have happened? I'm not sure that story is 100% true, but I do recall having that book as a young man. I have to cover this pawn. So, how much rating did we lose? Like 100 points. That's not too bad. If I keep going at this juncture, I can still play like 30 sessions or 29 sessions of Banter Blitz before I am rating broke. So it's not so bad. And George S. I still have some hopes of winning 1 point. So that would leave me at 2-9-21, which is still much higher rated than Magnus Carlsen in real life. So some people might argue that the ratings on Chess24 and some other online chess sites could be a little bit inflated. But of course they are wrong. I am the best chess player that has ever played this game. That's why I have this rating. And that's what you could learn in today's show. Bishop f8, yeah, I want to go b4. Of course, there's some holes around my king. So I'm not that sure if this is a great idea. But we all need a plan. Queen d1 back. That looks very non-aggressive. Or are you just taking one step back to kick my knight out of the way and then checkmate me? I would not put that beneath you, George S. I believe that could have been your plan. But f3, I don't know. It doesn't scare me that much. It does scare me a little bit. Not that much. Not enough. So, minority attack has been executed. The idea is to leave white to go for this b5, b4, and then leave white with a pawn weakness, either on c3 or on b2 and d4, depending on what he does. And George S. does not seem to like this idea of being left with a pawn weakness. Who can blame him? Tries to fight against it by pinning my queen, going queen b3, which is a good move. But I shall try to outfox him. Knight b4, knight e5, de, rook b8 was the plan. Or just bishop b4, rook b8 shall pick the pawn back up with an advantage at the end of these lines. Could also go rook a4, but that looks a little artificial. You know what? I've had a rough day. Let's play. Oof. Could just have won instantly with bishop c5 check. Oh boy. Yeah, that's me. Very concerned about winning my pawn back instead of deciding the game in one move with bishop c5, followed by queen takes f1. But who wants to win instantly when instead we can play a probably drawn but slightly better rook endgame because I have a protected pass pawn while his is not protected? Actually, probably most people would have preferred to end this game. Here, a touch of Grandmaster Lee chess culture, going g5 to make it harder for him to support this e5 pawn, which I'm planning to pick up in the near future. By going king g7, king g6 and then king f5. He could hurt my feelings a bit by playing g4, stopping me from going king f5, and he does so. But now that my feelings get hurt, I shall try to repay that compliment by making his pieces look very passive. This rook has to stick to this guy, and the king has to stick to this guy. So there's not all that much that you can do here, George S. There's not a whole lot to do in this position. Well, I have a plan. I'm not gonna reveal my plan just yet, because you never want to reveal your plan to the opponent, unless you have to. Does it say that in The Art of War? Probably it doesn't. But I did have a plan, which I forgot by now, because it was like 10 seconds ago. But now things are easy, because I'm picking up this pawn, and hg followed by f4 will not change that. It just won't. It's just not gonna change that. That is what we call a spite check in the business. Meaning that in spite of this check, I shall win this chess game. Even though George S is fighting heroically and valiantly, the problem is that I have more pawns than him. And even though I am overusing, even though I am pretty efficient in rook endgames where I have a bunch more pawns. The secret is to advance them. It's normally enough to queen one of them, but if you get the chance, you can also queen many. To put the rook far away to support these pawns from the side tends to be a decent strategy as well. And now we could start working on the queening operation, but since I'm having too much fun, I shall try to advance my pawns in strict battle formation first. Now a check on a1 would be pretty painful after almost any move, so you should try rook a8 here, just for practical chances. Instead, George S does go rook e8, and as mentioned, this check will decide this game. Thanks George S for playing, and that brings us to the end of today's show and to our incredibly popular segment. It's not that popular. I'm sorry. I am sorry for nothing real. I told you guys it was gonna be a terrible show, and I did deliver. I played the worst chess in Banter Blitz with Jan Gustafsson history. I already said I'm not sorry for anything. That was a lie. I'm sorry for many things. I'm sorry for constantly not looking into the camera but turning my head like that in every show. The reason is I have like my little video screen and the chat over there, but it does look very silly when replaying it, as I do every night, because I do rewatch everything I do and have a good chuckle at many of my jokes. I am sorry for that. I am sorry for not wearing a tie. I brought a tie today, but I thought, nah, why bother? I'm also sorry for the pocket square. It keeps disappearing into the pocket. Maybe that's why it's called the pocket square. Also, it doesn't match the color of the shirt. So very sorry about that. I'm sorry about the new haircut. I am very sorry to myself for losing all these chess games. I am sorry for you guys that the Olympiad is over. I'm also very sorry that I won't be around much in the next 2 weeks, but I'll be back in full force in October to entertain and educate. Edutain, as we call it in the business. All of you. Then I might even do this video series I've been talking about for the last couple of years, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun together. I am also sorry for spoiling your favorite TV show. No, I didn't do a lot of spoilers today, right? I didn't say what happens at the end of Stranger Things. So, you know what? Let's not spoil anything. I'm sorry for talking too much about trashy 90s movies, but they are fun. Everybody should at least watch the Nicolas Cage trilogy. And I don't mean like leaving Las Vegas or bullshit. I'm sorry for using bullshit on the air. That will never happen again, unless it is earned. I am talking about the trilogy of The Rock, Con Air and Face Off. Bunch of fantastic movies. Watch them, then start getting addicted to the same podcasts I'm addicted to, Comedy Bang Bang and How Did This Get Made, so we can talk about it. Free plugs for my millions of viewers for these tiny podcasts. So I'm sure they will appreciate it. That is it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I am very sorry for the terrible chess on this program. How long can we get this? How do you call this? These outros, the credits, where I never give credit to anybody but myself. How long can we keep this going? I don't know. Congratulations to the United States of America for winning the gold medal in the open section, because we cannot call it the men's section. That's not politically correct, of the Chess Olympiad. And congratulations to China for winning the women's section of the Chess Olympiad. Thank you guys for watching Banter Blitz, never more earned than today, with Jan Gustafsson. I'm out. Catch you later.